I used to believe that love alone couldn't build a business. Turns out, sometimes love is the only thing that keeps it alive long enough to succeed. Her name was Sophia. Mine is Daniel. We met in Los Angeles, both working exhausting service jobs that barely covered rent. She was a line cook with wild creativity. I was a waiter who secretly loved operations, numbers, and systems. We didn't fall in love fast. We built into it, like a recipe that takes time to taste right. Our dream started as a joke. One night after closing, sitting on milk crates behind a restaurant, eating leftover fries, Sophia said, "One day we're opening our own place. Small, cozy, real food. No fake fancy stuff." I laughed. We were both broke, sharing a studio apartment where the stove worked only if you kicked it first. But that joke turned into late-night planning sessions. Menu ideas scribbled on napkins. Cost calculations on my cracked laptop. We worked double shifts, saved every dollar, skipped vacations, skipped comfort. 2 years later, we signed a lease for a tiny corner restaurant in California. It was everything we dreamed of. And the beginning of our worst nightmare. The first month was slow. Then slower. Then terrifying. Some days we had 3 customers. Sometimes none. We stood behind the counter pretending to reorganize things just to avoid looking desperate. Bills piled up fast. Rent. Ingredients. Equipment loans. Permits. Insurance. Debt became our third roommate. I remember one night we counted our remaining cash on the prep table. We had enough to survive maybe 3 more weeks. Sophia tried to stay strong, but I saw her crying in the walk-in fridge more than once. She thought I didn't notice. We argued more. Stress does that. Little things exploded into big fights. Over salt levels. Over marketing. Over whose fault it was that we were drowning. At our lowest point, we almost quit. A corporate chain even offered to buy our lease. Enough money to pay off debts and walk away clean. I was ready to accept. Sophia wasn't. She said something that changed everything. She told me she didn't start this to be safe. She started it to build something real, with me. So we gave it one last shot. We reworked the menu completely. Focused on 3 signature dishes instead of 20. Sophia poured her heart into recipes inspired by her grandmother. I redesigned operations, cut waste, optimized suppliers. We started telling our story online. Not polished. Not corporate. Just real. Slowly, something shifted. One food blogger visited. Then another. A TikTok video of Sophia cooking went viral locally. Lines started forming outside a place that once felt invisible. The same tables that sat empty were now fully booked weeks ahead. For the first time, we weren't surviving, we were breathing. Within 2 years, we opened a second location. Then a third. Investors started calling us instead of the other way around. We paid off every debt. Every loan. Every sleepless night. By year 5, we weren't just successful, we were millionaires. People called us an overnight success. We laughed every time. But the real twist of our story didn't come from money. It came from truth. During an interview for a business magazine, a journalist asked Sophia what kept her fighting when everything was collapsing. She hesitated. Then she told a story I had never heard before. She revealed that during our worst year, when I thought we were both barely holding on, she had secretly received a job offer from a Michelin star restaurant in San Francisco. It was her dream job. Prestige. Stability. A guaranteed future. She never told me. Because accepting it would have meant leaving the restaurant. Leaving the dream. Leaving me to carry the failure alone. She chose to stay. She chose the uncertainty. The debt. The stress. The risk. She chose us. I was shocked. Not angry. Overwhelmed. Because all that time I thought I was the one holding us together financially. But emotionally, she was the one holding me together without me even knowing. That night after the interview, we closed the flagship restaurant early. We sat at the same kind of table where we once counted our last dollars. Except this time, the place was full. Our staff laughed in the kitchen. Reservations were booked for months. And we just held hands in silence. Success didn't feel loud in that moment. It felt peaceful. We realized something most people never do. The millions mattered. The restaurants mattered. But the real victory was that we didn't let pressure turn us against each other. Love didn't just survive the struggle. It financed the dream emotionally when money couldn't. Today we own multiple restaurants across California. Awards, press, investors, opportunities everywhere. But sometimes, after closing, we still sit outside on crates and share fries, just like before. Because we never want to forget who we were when we had nothing. And maybe that's the biggest twist of all. We thought we were building restaurants. But the whole time, we were building a life strong enough that success couldn't break it, and failure couldn't end it. Success brought us comfort, but it also brought something we didn't expect. Distance. Not emotional distance at first. Physical. Operational. Our world got bigger overnight. New locations. Investor meetings. Brand deals. Travel. Expansion plans across the West Coast. We went from working side by side every day to sometimes seeing each other only in passing. I handled growth, numbers, partnerships. Sophia stayed rooted in the kitchens, training chefs, protecting recipe quality like it was family heritage. At first, we told ourselves it was temporary, just the price of scaling. But stress has a way of coming back in new disguises. One night, after opening our 5th location, we had our biggest fight since the debt days. Not about money, about direction. Investors wanted faster expansion, franchising, national branding, bigger profits. I wanted to take the deal. Sophia didn't. She said mass expansion would turn our story into a product. That we'd lose the soul that made people care in the first place. I argued that growth was survival. That standing still in business meant dying slowly. The conversation escalated. Old fears resurfaced. The same fear from years ago, losing everything we built. For the first time since success, we went to bed angry. The next morning, Sophia asked me to visit our very first location before opening hours. We stood inside the empty restaurant. The same walls we once painted ourselves. The same tables we assembled at midnight. The same counter where we counted our last dollars. She asked me one question. If we lose this feeling, will the millions still be worth it? Growth built our wealth, but authenticity built our legacy. So we made a decision that shocked our investors. We rejected the franchise deal. Instead of expanding faster, we slowed down. Focused on experience, quality, story, community. Financially, it was the riskier move. Emotionally, it saved us. Our brand became known not just for food, but for heart. People didn't just eat there. They felt part of something real. And profits didn't disappear. They grew, slower, but stronger. Sustainable. Loyal. Looking back now, I realize success tested our marriage more than failure ever did. Failure forced us to hold on to each other. Success tempted us to drift apart. But every time we stood at a crossroads, we chose the same thing we chose in the beginning. Not money. Not fame. Each other. And that choice, repeated over years, became the real foundation behind every million we ever made.